Hello, hello. Welcome to today's Fall for Watercolor art class. Hi. All right. So we today are going to be doing something very exciting. We are going to be working on masking fluid. Sorry for this light. It's like, I don't know, whatever. I just look angelic, don't I? Ding. We're going to be working on using masking fluid and how that can be applied, why we use it, what is it, other ways of masking, yada, yada, yada. And we're going to paint a spider web kind of using an inverse technique. So just a couple of housekeeping tips while people are arriving. Hi, welcome to the Fall for Watercolor Challenge live classes. We are doing classes every morning every Monday through Thursday morning in the month of October. And if you're not tuning in live, you can still participate. Just drop a comment of the question of the day. And don't forget to enter to win prizes in the challenge with the link below. We also are doing daily painting. So if you want to do that, all the information is on Instagram and TikTok. And you'll also get emails with all that info. Once you sign up for the challenge, there's going to be a lot of cool prizes. I haven't even divulged what the prizes are going to be, but I've got a big box full of stuff. So it's going to be awesome. Let's see. Words, thoughts, thinking. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. So here we are. And when we are doing our masking, it does need to dry. So if you have your masking tools with you, oh, good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Tracy. Yeah, today's question of the day was, if you could have unlimited art supplies, what would your, one art supplies unlimited, what would it be? Okay, so today we are going to be doing masking fluid, and we're going to actually start first before we get into our lesson, because unlike paint, this does not play nicely with my heat gun. So this is masking fluid. Okay, I really like the Winsor & Newton. I've linked it in the chat below. And you don't want to shake this. You might think you want to, but you don't want to shake this. So we're going to open it up. Shaking it will get little air bubbles in it, and that can really mess with the with your paint or your application of this material. Okay, so I'm using a pen. Oh my gosh, what is it called? A lining pen, ruling pen. Sorry, I always forget the name of this. And so, I don't know, can you see that? It has this little, knob where I can adjust the thickness here of how wide I want my tip to be. So, and then when I put it in here, it is going to pick it up kind of like a calligraphy pen. And that allows me to use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our spider web with your masking supplies first. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just hang tight and you can kind of watch and figure it out as we go. And then I'll get into masking and why we do it and what it's all about. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go from the corner of the page, I think. Let's see. I think I need a little bit more. And this is really similar to like rubber cement. If you don't have masking fluid, you can go ahead and use masking tape. Just, yeah, I'm just going to create some lines. It's going to be coming from this corner here. I'll switch it over so you can see just the thing. Ooh, Tracy's going to get art supplies, fancy art brushes. I love it. Okay, so here I'm just making lines from that corner, and then we'll connect. And it's okay if they're kind of thin or kind of piecey. You know, sometimes you don't catch the full spider web in the light. What we're going to be doing here, I know I'm like being kind of mysterious, but it is October. So what we're going to be doing here is we are creating the spider web by masking it off. So wherever we're putting this masking fluid, the paint will not go. And so we're almost doing like kind of like a relief or like inverse painting. So we're going to be painting everywhere where the spider web is not. And the reason why we're doing this is because right now, before I explain everything, is because it needs to dry. So now I'm just doing like little kind of like whoop, whoop, whoop in between our strands of the web. Don't overthink it, just whoop, whoop, whoop. And it can be as hectic and erratic or as uniform as you would like it to be. That one's kind of wild. I'm here for it. Okay, I have a little smudge. I might make that a spider later once you get to the corner if you want to keep going. You can just kind of imagine where it would be. And just like your paintbrush, as you start to notice it's kind of running out, just grab more and then put your cap back on, babies. We want to make sure the cap is on for real, big time. Okay, so now that we made our little spider web, do you see? So it's kind of hard to see, but in person, you should be able to see it. If you have masking tape, I'll do one with masking tape. So you can either cut your masking tape or just use thin masking tape, or, just practice with a very large spider web. So I have some thin masking tape. So I'm just going to do this. So a lot of times you'll see people using masking tape on the edge of their paintings to hold their painting down. And you'll notice that it, oh my gosh, this stinks. Come on. You'll notice that it comes off pretty easily. Okay. And oh my gosh, come on. I don't know. This is going to be kind of a janky spider web, but the tape's not peeling off nicely, but that's all right. So you'll notice that, oh, y'all, what was I talking about? I'm sorry. I am still taking Dayquil. Okay, but the show must go on. So you'll notice that the tape comes off nicely, so it doesn't need to just be for edges. If you're trying to cover up a large piece of your painting, masking tape can also be a great option. Oh, my word. Okay, here we go. Now we're cooking. So masking, I can start talking while I'm doing this. Masking is a technique used to keep, basically you're putting a mask on your paper. So something that is going to keep your paper from being shown, but not only just seen, like we're not seeing the paper here, but we're also creating a seal between the paper and where your paint is going to go. And so the goal with this is to ensure that, let's see how this goes. The goal with this is to ensure that the paint is not getting where you've masked off. So you're going to want to, especially with masking tape, really push the lines down, kind of go over it with your finger like this to make sure you've got a nice, good seal. So, is this fancy? No, but is it going to give us the same understanding of what masking is? You betcha. So the reason why we do this is for a couple of reasons. So again, we use it to keep our edges of our paper clean. That's a really common one. Most people do that. Another reason people will use masking fluid is if there are parts of the paper that you want to keep white of your actual painting. So watercolor, in watercolor, we don't usually use white paint. We usually use the white of the paper as our white paint. Okay, so if we want something to be really, really light, we are only putting a very thin layer of paint on. If we want something to be bright white, like those most brilliant highlights and, like where the glimmer, the sun glimmers in a reflection, that kind of thing, that is because we're leaving the paper white. Some folks will use like a bleed-proof white paint at the very end to maybe add like those little dots in the eyes. We got some Arches paper fans. Whoop, whoop. Watercolor journals. Oh, Lisa, I would love to hear what watercolor journal paper, what kind of paper you like, or what kind of journals you like for your watercolor paper. I'm always looking for a good recommendation for art journals. I haven't found one that I love yet, so I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so we have our two masking situations. Let's talk a little bit more about why we might use them. So one, we want to preserve the whites of the paper. And the reason why masking fluid is good, rather than like working our way, like let's say we wanted to leave this box white, okay? Like instead of painstakingly like trying to keep that every time we are painting around it, that's going to create a lot of unevenness, a lot of like, when you're paying special attention to edges, you're actually going to get a lot more pigment there usually. So by masking it, it means you can do nice big washes and not worry about the integrity of that spot. So in a way, you're kind of doing like reverse painting. Rather than painting the thing, we are painting the absence of the thing. So we're going to be painting the background of this spider web rather than the actual spider web. Okay, so people will use this a lot with like, let's say you're painting a big field, okay, and you want some really nice flowers up front. Maybe we're doing some poppies. So let's say you're painting your grass, but then you get to where your poppies are going to be, and you're like, oh, I got it, right? We don't want to do that. So what you can do instead is pre-mask where the poppies are going to be. And then once you've painted your green field, then you'll get the masking stuff off. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you have this white space. So you're not painting over green to create your poppies that are red, because that would make them really muddy and muted. When you mix green and red, you're going to get a brown. So this allows you to have a really vibrant poppy. Okay, here I can say hi with my face again. Just want to show off my bangs. I'm still working on styling them. It's fine. Here we can do side by side. So as we're masking, thinking ahead about which pieces you want really light. So with watercolor, we start with the lightest of lights, and then we build up from that. So you can even, maybe once you've painted your first or second wash, you can even put masking fluid on top of parts you've already painted if you want to keep them lighter as you go and not worry about messing them up. So if you're painting in a lot of layers and you want to really preserve some of those lighter pieces that you did earlier on, you can also do that. I also really like to use masking fluid to help with, if I'm doing like a really vibrant background, I will paint my design first because that takes the longest time. And I'm like, I don't want to mess this up, right? But I do have kind of some intricate background stuff and I want to get real crazy with it. So what I'll do is I'll actually mask the subject and then I will do the background. You can do it either way if you want to do the background first, just sometimes around the edges of your painting. Maybe you've done a really dark background. If you're doing like really delicate stuff for your foreground for the pieces that you're painting, you might get some bleeding if you've used really dark pigment. So that's why I like to avoid that, but it's really just personal preference. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Okay, so let's talk about tools. Promise to me right now, Scout's honor. Okay, I will not use my favorite beautiful brushes for masking fluid. Say it with me now, okay? This is like such a nice brush. I am not going to put this in my masking fluid, okay? This is really gunky stuff. It is nasty. It is not good. Don't ever mix it with your brushes. So what you're going to want to do is use a silicone brush. Sometimes they're like for nail supplies or something like that. If you just look up silicone brush, Yeah, okay, so Lisa's using Strathmore Series 400 for the watercolor challenge, and you don't hate it. Typically use whatever I can afford. Okay, nice. Yeah, I like Strathmore. That's for her watercolor journal. Here, I'll put that up here in case anybody wants to check it out. So don't put your nice wet brushes in it. Okay, thank you. I would even rather you use the end of your brush and like dip that in and use that as a tool rather than your beautiful little brush tips. Okay, so you can use a silicone brush. You can use the end of your brush. I really like using this ruling pen because I like how it gives you a lot of flexibility of how wide or how thin your point is. There are some masking tools that actually come like, sorry, I'm trying to show. It actually comes like with a little needle and then you just squeeze it out almost like an Elmer's glue, but like very precise. I find that the ones I have used don't really, I don't think it pulls up off the paper as nicely as I would like it to. There are also some that kind of work like a puffy pen, like a paint pen. And those don't have the precision that I want, but if you're doing large spaces, I think that could work really well. As you're applying, and there are also a lot of different types of masking fluid. I really like the Winsor & Newton. I think it's really delicate on the paper. I like the one that is a little bit yellow because I think it allows me to see where it is. Sometimes they make it blue. Sometimes they make it blue, and I don't like that because as I'm looking at my painting, I find the blue to be really distracting. I'm like, wait, what's light here? So when it's yellow, it's like close enough to white so I can imagine what that blank space will look like. Some are more clear, and I think that's kind of hard because then it's like, where is it? There are other brands. Some are stickier than others. You just kind of will find what you like. I would say just get your hands on whatever you can and try it out. This is another part of the puzzle. So this actually comes with the ruling pen that I've linked in the chat. And this has, I don't know, it's kind of like rubbery and it has some texture to it. And you'll see we just use this to remove it so we're not getting our greasy little fingers all over our painting. Yeah, as for masking tape, I really like this stick brand. I think it pulls up really nicely. Also, just painter's tape works really well. You know, I don't love washi tape. You can use it, but washi tape, I find it just doesn't, I don't know, it's just not sticky enough. But if you have really delicate paper, washi tape might be the best option. Just make sure you really get into those crannies. Okay, so I'm going to paint this spider web with the masking tape first because my spider web is still drying. So what's really fun when we do this is we can just really load on the color. It's going to be so fun. So, I've been really feeling this quinacridone lake this whole time. So I'm going to do like a mixture of that. We're going to use some phthalo turquoise and probably some indigo. This isn't like very fallish, but like, I don't know, these colors have been like really singing to me. I'm in the mood. So I'm just going to slap it on here. This is going to be really fun. So maybe I even want a bigger brush. Yeah, I'm going to get a bigger brush. All right, let's do it. Get crazy with your wet and wet. You can do different things inside each of the boxes. Sometimes people will like make little boxes and then have kind of like their daily little painting in the boxes. And then when they peel the tape up, it's like, ooh, beautiful. And that's really fun. Oh gosh, there's this one artist and she does these really cool, like she makes all these different shapes with the washi tape. I wish I could remember her name. She's on Instagram and she does some really cool stuff. I am terrible with remembering names, but she will do like a little different design in each one and it just looks very, very cool. All right, so I'm excited to hear what colors you guys use for your background. This is like so much fun. I might even like flick some splatters in here with like a hot pink. What do you think? This is like spooky, witchy, mysterious. Let's do like a little bit. It's going to take forever to dry, but it's okay. I like it. All right, let's get some hot pink. I'm using Winsor & Newton's Opera Rose, but it's kind of mixed in with my other colors, so we'll see. Yeah. Yellow. This is just the fun part. This isn't really my masking. This is just playing, which you should always make time for. Okay, let's get this out of the way. We'll put it over here. You can't see it. It's going to be very mysterious, a big secret. Just kidding. It's just drying. Okay, so now cleaned off my space. I've gotten some splatters on here. I'm noticing that some of it's mostly dry. I'm going to kind of wait to apply my brush on here until it's totally dry, because once again, I do not want my nice brushes to be getting gunked up from this stuff. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to like splatter. This was really fun, and I'm just going to like see what happens. Let's do it. If yours looks dry, go ahead. I think I'll probably spray this too to kind of like make it go woo woo. So let's see if we can paint it without even touching the paintbrush to it. This is just a fun extra challenge. Why not, right? Make a big old mess. If you're on TikTok, you might have seen the video I posted about when my daughter came downstairs, and I was like, oh, we've been doing some painting. And she had taken my stone ground paint co paints, which are very expensive, and she had just really put the splatter into Splatter and Bloom. It looks like Dexter's like cleanup job in here, and Mommy was not pleased. But we cleaned them up and it looked fine, and there's still paint left, so that's good. Okay, so that's kind of fun. All right. Do you guys, let me know in the chat, do you guys have masking fluid with you, or are you kind of just tuning in for now, waiting for your masking fluid? I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to spray this with my spray bottle, see what happens. Woo! Oh, now that's fun. Okay. I think it's dry enough now. Ironically, well, it's very wet. So I think it's dry enough that I'm going to just kind of dab, 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 dab. Kind of like that there's like some texture from the spray bottle. I don't know, I kind of like it. I'm excited to see how this turns out. So do you have your masking fluid? Have you used masking fluid before? What do you usually use your masking fluid for? Tell me all your secrets. Okay, we're gonna let this dry. So I might take my paper towel and just kind of grab a little bit of that moisture from the end so it doesn't tip. Here, we'll let these dry over here. Oh my God, my poor desk. It's so messy. I wonder where my granddaughter gets it from. Ooh. Okay. So let's see. Analia says cold press arches paper is her favorite supply. VS says, I enjoy my Winsor & Newton masking fluid too. Yeah, awesome. What do you usually use your masking fluid for, VS? I'm curious to hear. I like to paint the background in a contrasting color with the painting subject. Ah, I love that. So like, let's say you're painting like a red poppy, then the background would be like a nice bright green color. And so Analia's been using her masking fluid to make sure that the contrasting color doesn't interfere with her painting. Lisa's using Daniel Smith masking fluid and an old, nasty, already grunged up size 2 brush. Love it. That's perfect, Lisa. Ooh, and VS uses it for a flower field. I love that. Since we're waiting for these to dry, because once again, I don't want to use my blow dryer because it will make the tape curl up and it will like do weird things to the masking fluid. So I'm not playing that game. Let's do a flower field. Let's talk about it. Okay. So I am going to take here, I'll show you how it is with like the end of a brush. Okay. So let's get our masking fluid. Oh, I might need to move this. We're just very on the fly. I kind of love this because it's like you guys get to dictate what we're doing. So if there's anything specifically. Oh, you're watching a few minutes ago. Oh no. Well, hopefully it's good. Sorry. So I just took the end of my paintbrush and I'm just gonna go dot 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 all over. Dot 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 dot. This is also really good if you do house portraits for things like fences. Really like little picket fences can be really tough to like get the consistency of the color behind the fence. So I really like using masking fluid for fences. Okay, and so we'll just let that dry. And then you would just paint over it with your background and then you could paint your flower fields in the foreground. Okay, so this is kind of rubbery gunky. So I've just peeled it off with my finger and then it's like rubber cement kind of. So I just put it in the trash. But yeah, let me know if there's any other questions too. I mean, like we're just waiting for paint to dry. So we got time. What else do you want to know? Like if I'm cooking up new tutorials and stuff, I'm just gonna clean up a little bit. You guys can dictate it because you're here. So let me know. Those of you watching the replay, let me know in the comments. I'm all ears, always looking for ideas. Okay. What do you think? Should we blow dry it a little bit and see what happens? Shocking. Kate's too impatient to wait. All right. Here we go. Let's do it. Oh, here, I'm going to mute me so you don't have to listen to this. Okay. So the reason why I say you don't want to use a blow dryer on this is because if you are still considering putting more layers on it, the blow dryer's heat will kind of make the tape easier to come up. So that's great for us at this point because we're only putting this one layer on it. But if you're in the middle of like many a layer, you're going to just want to be patient. So let's shall we? Do you think we can do like a really nice one and done paint peel? Let's see. Oh my gosh. Nope. Thought it was going to be really nice and satisfying, and it was the exact opposite. Look at that. That's okay. So you might want tweezers if you got some really intricate stuff here. I'm just going to do our best. But look at how cool that is. So we'll kind of talk about the benefits of tape and masking fluid and why I prefer to use masking fluid as we look at this. So, come on. No satisfying tape peel here. Just Kate making weird noises. Okay. So you might notice we have some areas where tape maybe had like a little seam, and so there's some paint pooling underneath the tape, and it's created some little lines. Now, obviously, this is just a practice thing, so we don't really care. But if this was your big fancy painting, that would not be ideal, right? So once again, we've talked a little bit about how to erase things, but we will go into it a little bit more. You're going to want clean water. So let's kind of clean up these edges. And this is great to do. It's great practice if you taped the edges of your paper and maybe some paint got in underneath. So I've got a clean, clean, lightly damp brush. I'm just going to gently dab, dab, dab and lift. And we're just going to repeat this process for eternity. I'm kind of like wiggling it slightly. And this will work, but once again, I think we might need that little scrubby brush. So let's grab that. I think that'll work better. Well, this is my big one. Okay, that's fine. So let's kind of just scrub, 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 scrub. Ooh, it's really in there. So all the colors I used are really staining pigments. Staining pigments are colors that they're the ones that like really like to spread all over the page. They are really instantly like very deep and dark. So I use Payne's Gray, Quinacridone Lake, and what was the other one? Phthalo Turquoise. And I love staining paints, but it will make it more difficult to get the extra pigment out. And this one is pretty stubborn. And some of that is because we blow dried it. It would come out a little bit easier if we hadn't blow dried it. So could we get this out? Maybe. I think this one would be kind of tough. So it's getting lighter, but it's, it's not great. Okay. So Analia says, I use both TSSART artist tape for painting the edges, and then Winsor & Newton watercolor masking fluid on the painting itself. Love it. I think that's great. I haven't heard of that TSS art. I'll have to check that out. I'm always down for a good supply rack. So what I think with this is what we would have to do is kind of really get into it, and it would mess with the integrity of the paper. So that's just one of those things that you would have to use your best judgment. So if it is something that you're going to keep painting on, I would just try to find a way to make it work. If it's something that is maybe on the edge and you're done painting, you might be able to either use a little bit of white, bleed-proof white paint to touch up, or you could use like a little X-Acto knife to just kind of get it off, or just keep it on and just try to be really gentle. So those are some options. Let's see, what are you saying here? When using the masking fluid in tiny spots, sometimes it is tough to pull it out. Totally. So that's why I really like using it's mostly dry. I'm just going to dab it with my paper towel to get it a little bit drier. That's why I really like using this, is because it kind of, not only will it help scrape it out without getting oil on your fingers, but sometimes it can help, you can kind of dab it. Like here, I don't know. It's like sticking to this. See, you peel it off. Sometimes it'll peel really nicely if it's well applied. Other times, oh my gosh, this is satisfying. Hello. Okay. Or I just kind of gently like tap and rub, I guess. But you don't want to like scrub this thing. This is not like you're scouring a sink or something. Like, this is very like delicate, like, I don't know, like you're trying to get a splinter out of a little baby foot. Just like meep, meep. Very delicate, very dainty. All right. Oh, yes. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Yellow. And so here we have some little balls of the goo. I would say tweezers could be helpful too, if you want. But this thing is really a game changer. Okay. Here we go. Love it. Did I get it all? I think there's maybe a little bit more up there. Okay. So here we have our 2 masking exercises. So as you can see, the masking fluid is obviously daintier. You can see, can you see here how it's got kind of lines? This is where the ruling pen kind of ran out of glue, I guess. And so it left a little line in the middle. So as you're applying your masking fluid, you're just going to want to make sure that it's covering all the areas that you want to cover. I went pretty fast with this, so if you're doing something more official, you might want to go a little slower. This is really fun to play with. I highly recommend getting some sort of masking fluid and playing around, because I think it really opens up a new dimension of your watercolor. One of the biggest power moves that you can do in watercolor is leaving some of your page white. And the reason for this is I think our tendency is to want to cover everything, to paint everything. So often in my workshops that I do, people are really just trying to get that full coverage acrylic look. And this isn't acrylic painting, right? It's watercolor. And so leaving the white and being brave and being like, that's the part I'm not going to paint. Like, it's like the illusion of the item is so cool. Watercolor paper is so beautiful that giving it a chance to just shine through is like a total power move. So as you're doing your daily paintings, I would love to see you guys trying out leaving some white, whether it's with masking fluid or just like leaving part of the page white where the highlights are, whatever, not painting over it. See how it goes. So let me know if you have any questions as I kind of do some housekeeping things. Remember, we don't have class tomorrow or all weekend. Mama needs a break. But we'll be back again on Monday. We're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? Using salt, and we might use some saran wrap, and if I can find my isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, oh, yep, it's right there. Might play around a little bit with that in adding textures with things that you have in your kitchen. So that'll be super fun. Maybe a straw. I don't know, just grab some random stuff from your kitchen. It'll be really fun. If you have any of your own tips that you like to use, like weird kitchen hacks or whatever for your watercolor painting, I would love to see it. That's always my favorite, like non-traditional things that will work. So that's what we're going to do on Monday. We're going to paint a nice, big, warty little gourd. And over the weekend, you've got some daily paintings if you'd like to do that. Let's see, what are we painting this weekend? What's on the chart? So today is corn. Tomorrow we're going to do a little squash. We're going to do some carrots. So we already did our carrots. A mug of cider, and then Monday will be a cozy scarf. So one thing to note is next week, I'm actually going to be doing the Thursday class in the evening. I'm teaching a watercolor workshop that morning. So I'll be on Mercer Island if you're local and want to come. But I will be doing a workshop that morning. So we're going to be meeting at night. So If you can't make it, I'm sorry. If you can, great. And tell your friends, because it's hopefully not during work hours. So that'll be at 7:30 PST. So I'm in Washington State. So whatever time that is for you. And yeah, you guys, I think we're like halfway through our live lessons. One more and we'll be halfway through. So pretty exciting. As always, thank you so much for joining me today, and happy painting. Okay, bye.